It may surprise you to find out some of the greatest films and artists in cinema history have never won Oscars or never got nominations. Let's break down the biggest Oscar snubs of all time.
What is up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of the Lost Podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. And today, we're going to go over the biggest snubs in Oscar history. Now, you'd be surprised how many of our favorite filmmakers have never even been nominated for Best Director. Many of their films never even been nominated for Best Picture, as well as if they did get nominated, they lost to some ridiculous choices of the ultimate winners. We made 3 lists for this episode. We did a list of Best Picture snubs, and then a list of actor snubs, and then a list of director snubs. And I found some crazy results in my research, stuff that literally made me shout at the top of my lungs in my own bedroom and scared my girlfriend. But I'll get to that later on. But it should be an interesting episode. And again, this is no order. We're not doing by year. This is just based upon what we found on the list. And so it's kind of like starts out as the most appalling ones, but then, you know,
I don't know. Down on this list of Best Picture, there's some crazy appalling non-Best
appalling,
Picture. Shocking, hair standing up. I might as well get to the first one because it is absurd that when Stanley Kubrick made 2001: A Space Odyssey, it did not get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. How? I have no idea.
This is your all-time favorite film.
Not my all-time favorite.
What you say is the greatest film ever made.
Greatest film ever made.
And you're not alone. A lot of people say that.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
It's not an uncommon opinion.
And what blows my mind is this was 1964. He made this 60 years ago. And
I don't know how it didn't blow
nominated.
people's hair back. I'm sure
this
it did, but like, how did people in the Academy not say, "Holy fuck"? That has to win.
Nothing had ever been done like this film before. It's probably the most glaring snub on this entire list.
Do you know what it lost to?
I do not know what it lost to, but it didn't even get nominated. So who the hell? I mean, it technically lost to all 5 of those nominations if they did nominate 5 films back then.
So let's see what the Best Picture of 1969 was. That was the one that won that year. Midnight Cowboy.
Wow, that came out in 1969. Wow.
Well, it came out in 1968, but the Oscars was 1969.
Midnight Cowboy is great, but Space Odyssey overall is way better. And yeah, who knows? But we also have another sci-fi classic masterpiece on this list, which is a little more contemporary. And it's a film that you and I grew up loving. It's one of our all-time favorites. And The Matrix did not get nominated for Best Picture. I don't think it got nominated for anything outside of technical categories. Came out in 1999. And in one of the greatest years of film, it stood out as one of the best, if not the best. And in the last 40 years, there's still nothing like it. And it changed cinema just as much as you can say some of the other films on this list, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It moved filmmaking forward, and it blew our minds. And if it came out today, it would get nominated, probably win a bunch of stuff. But in 1999, it was still the Oscar darlings were the dramas and the war films. The Matrix is one of the most glaring mistakes the Academy's ever made.
Yeah, it's wild that Everything Everywhere All at Once wins Best Picture, but The Matrix doesn't get nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And it's very similar genres. You know, we have a different reality, you could say. Lots of cool combat and combat. Well, fighting. Yeah, combat and combat.
Combat and combat. The Daniels said they wanted to make a movie that started out like The Matrix and ended like Magnolia.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. So it was huge inspiration for Everything Everywhere.
Next up, we have The King of Comedy from Martin Scorsese. This was not nominated for Best Picture, but I understand probably why it wasn't nominated for Best Picture. It doesn't seem like it was a very popular movie. I don't feel like it's a very popular movie now, especially in his filmography. But I wouldn't completely consider that a snub. It probably it deserved a Best Picture nom. But is that a snub?
I'm breaking my armchair handles.
I'm just saying in terms of like what the Academy wants for voting.
I'm talking about what we believe.
Oh yeah, I mean
this is not an Academy.
Should have won Best Picture.
Okay, thank you. This is what the episode is about, man. Not like what the Academy thinks.
You're right, man.
This is an anti-Academy episode.
I gotta stop being an establishment man.
Oh my god, man! How many paychecks are they sending you every month?
I wish they sent me paychecks.
The King of Comedy was a groundbreaking film, and it was a tone and a style of comedy that had never been done before, and also that was very violent and disturbing. And I think that voters weren't ready for something like that and didn't quite understand The King of Comedy, which is now heralded as one of the best films of its time, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Another all-time science fiction film, this time from Ridley Scott. He made Blade Runner, an all-time movie.
All time.
Arguably the best science fiction film of all time. Not a nomination for Best Picture. How? I don't know. Why? Who knows? ¿Por qué? ¿Para qué? I don't know, man. What the fuck?
Here's another one that's going to blow your mind. So, in 1960, Psycho changed the landscape of filmmaking with one of the most exciting and shocking horror films ever made from Alfred Hitchcock. However, the classic slasher film did not get nominated for Best Picture, even though, without a doubt, has some of the best filmmaking ever put on screen, still to this day.
All right, let's go to another snub. This time, it was not a movie that didn't get nominated, but it was an absurd loss. So in 1999, the year that The Matrix came out, Saving Private Ryan also came out. Oh, no, it was 98.
Yeah, this is the 99 Oscars.
1999 Oscars. Saving Private Ryan came out. Obviously, you would think it would. You think it won Best Picture, probably, right? Because you can't even think of what the Best Picture is, because it's Shakespeare in Love that won Best Picture that year. Why? Harvey Weinstein made a massive campaign against Spielberg, Saving Private Ryan, to make sure he won Best Picture for his film.
Yeah, he basically spread a huge marketing campaign saying that Saving Private Ryan was dishonest and inaccurate, and it turned enough heads to make it those people vote for Shakespeare in Love, which he produced. So there we go. There we have it. I'm pretty sure not many people talk about Shakespeare in Love.
Only on episodes like this.
It's a fine movie. It's a fine movie. All right, next up, we have another loss. Now, this one is tough to swallow, but also it lost to a film I love. So Taxi Driver, which came out in 1976, is one of the greatest films ever made, and Scorsese's huge masterpiece early in his career. And there's really nothing like it. In 1976, it lost to Rocky, which was a huge loss. And Rocky, I love. I love Rocky. I adore it. I think it's one of my favorite movies ever. I understand why it won, and it was such a good feel-good movie, and that hadn't been done in a long time. The sports drama wasn't really that high in quality, and the underdog story clearly struck a chord. But Taxi Driver losing, it's a hard loss because Taxi Driver is so important to cinema. Also in that year, Network also lost to Rocky. So it's quite the big. That's a tough year to win. You would think that Rocky would be the one not to win out of Network and Taxi Driver.
But also, Rocky is epic.
It shows that Rocky is a winner.
He is.
He's a winner.
He's an underdog.
Yeah, he defeats all odds, even in the Academy voting.
It's not about how hard you get hit. It's about how many times you can get hit and keep getting up.
Keep getting up.
Anyways, moving on to another huge loss for Scorsese here. Goodfellas at the Academy Awards was nominated. However, it lost to Dances with Wolves, which is an excellent movie.
Yes.
But it's not Goodfellas.
Not Goodfellas.
It's not.
Goodfellas is an all-time movie, just
Sure
like
is.
Taxi Driver. Dances with Wolves is a very good movie, and there are some excellent parts to it. But Goodfellas it's on a completely different level. And 1990 was a tough year, but Scorsese should have come out with the Golden Statue. Here's a huge film, one of our favorites. We have a poster in the house. This film did not even get nominated. It came out in 1995, and I'm talking about Michael Mann's Heat, which is an all-time classic, one of the best crime films ever made, the best cops and robbers movie of all time, expertly crafted. To this day, people still talk about it. It's watched all over the world. Heat did not get nominated, and that is a huge shame to the Academy. I cannot believe that Heat did not get that.
Neither did Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window, which could be his best movie.
Yeah.
Arguably, could be his best movie. Not nominated at all. Another all-time director, more contemporary, who didn't get nominated for one of his masterpiece. Children of Men. You would think, of course, that movie was nominated. Nope, didn't get a nomination for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, and it's one of the, in my opinion, masterpieces of the century.
You could argue it's the greatest film of that decade.
Yeah,
of the 2000s.
You could argue that.
You could say Children of Men, like it could be the best.
It's between that and Dukes of Hazzard.
I was not expecting that.
Me
I
neither.
thought you were gonna say something serious. I thought you were gonna say like Inglourious Bastards or something.
No, man, I kept a straight face that whole time.
Dukes of Hazzard. Sean William Scott, man.
Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah,
Jessica Simpson. Burt Reynolds. Come on.
What a snub.
Looks like them Hazard boys are off at it again.
Oh my God, fucking Dukes of Hazzard. All right, next up we have the first Tarantino film on this list. One of my all-time favorite Tarantinos. It's in my top 3. James is actually wearing the shirt for it right now.
Look at that. Look at that.
We're talking about Kill Bill Volume 1. A masterpiece of filmmaking, an incredible action film, martial arts film, remarkable screenplay, iconic, memorable characters. I mean, people quote this movie to this day. Just like all of his other films, the characters are so famous. This film didn't get nominated, I don't think, for many things at all, if it did. And definitely didn't get nominated for Best Picture, which is unbelievable because it was so groundbreaking and pushed that genre forward. And I think it's just because it was a martial arts. It's because it was Tarantino. It's because it was so stylized, and voters were not interested in things like that at the time. 2003, nothing.
Not a goddamn thing.
Not a goddamn thing.
Pretty wild. Such a good movie. Moving on to Denis Villeneuve film in 2013, Prisoners. Not nominated for Best Picture, and it was one of the best movies the last 15 years for sure. Absolute masterpiece. Even though Denis has moved into massive science fiction blockbuster filmmaking now and is the premier blockbuster director right now, him and Nolan, this is still arguably one of his best movies. If not, people can't argue it's his best movie. It's that good, even though it's a grounded drama, suspense thriller. It's still that good. It's so well crafted, so well acted, and it's a shocking fact that it did not get nominated for Best Picture.
And this is when, what's even more surprising is it's when the Academy opened it up to 10 films can get nominated, and it still didn't get nominated for Best Picture. So 10 other films got nominated over Prisoners in 2013.
It's a damn shame.
Fucking A, man. Fucking A. Next up, we have the first Paul Thomas Anderson film on the list. And it's an absolute piece of mastery in filmmaking. It's masterful. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterwork. I'm talking, of course, about The Master. In 2012, Paul Thomas Anderson's film did not get nominated for Best Picture. All it ended up getting was acting nominations for the 3 leads and cinematography, I believe. The Master is really nothing like it still. And on his filmography, it's an impressive feat of an accomplishment even after doing There Will Be Blood. Like, what do you follow There Will Be Blood up? Like, what could you possibly make after that? And he made something that was mysterious and interesting and deep, and it doesn't follow the rules of traditional filmmaking and what audiences expect. And I think that this is a film many audiences and the Academy didn't understand because it's a very low 7.1 on IMDb for the caliber of film that it is.
That's shocking.
It should be over 8 because it is incredible. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson's most misunderstood film without a doubt because it's his lowest rated. And it's just a magnificent piece of filmmaking. It should have gotten nominated for Best Picture.
All right, let's talk about a World War II film starring Steve McQueen that's probably going to make Anthony cry because it didn't get a single... It didn't get a Best Picture nomination. The Great Escape did not get a Best Picture nom. And you would think it would because it's an all-time film, let alone war film. 8.2 on IMDb.
Fucking A, man. Oh my God, it's so good. It is so goddamn good. Man, I got that poster in my room. I look at it every morning.
It got one nominee. It was for Best Editing.
Fucking A, man. It's great cinematography, too. It's really well shot. Fuck that shit, man. All right. Next up, we have a film that was nominated for Best Picture, but lost. Citizen Kane was nominated for Best Picture in 1941 and lost to How Green Was My Valley. James, have you ever heard of How Green Was My Valley?
Yes. It's about a man who sells lawnmowers, and he sells lawnmowers in the desert.
That doesn't sound like a good strategy.
But hey,
it's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for him.
It's booming. It's booming out there.
Which one of these 2 films do people still talk about today?
How Green Is My Valley? That's basically what inspired Denis Villeneuve to make Dune. Was How Green Was My Valley? Those are fireworks.
Yeah. So sorry if you guys hear fireworks. Our neighborhood is a firework zone, so it sounds like they're setting them up to test them out for the 4th.
4th of July is gonna be crazy.
Man, I kind of want to go outside. How Green Was My Valley? How Green Was My Valley? Citizen Kane lost, man.
Pretty shocking. Moving on to 2005's Brokeback Mountain was nominated for Best Picture, but it lost to Crash. A good movie. a Best Picture winner, though?
Fuck no.
Between that and The Green Book this century, those are the two odd ones for me personally. But Brokeback Mountain is an exceptional film, an all-time romance film. So beautiful, makes me cry, so well crafted, possibly Ang Lee's best movie between this and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
I'd say this one.
But this movie is absolutely, it's so impressive what he did not being from here and capturing the American Midwest and South so well. But it's phenomenal.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm tearing up already, man. Gustavo.
Oh yeah, Gustavo Santaolalla.
Yeah, he did the score.
Did the score.
So that was so surprising. Jack Nicholson was the presenter of the Best Picture Award. When he opened the envelope, he was like, "Oh!" he gasped from surprise that it was Crash and not Brokeback.
What the fuck is Crash?
Everyone was expecting Brokeback to win.
I didn't see Crash. Yeah.
You're goddamn right, I did. All right, next up.
God damn you, Jack Twist.
I wish I knew how to quit you. Fucking A, man. It's such a good movie. All right, next up, we have a film that was not nominated that I'm sure you all know by now. James and I love. That's Anthony Minghella, The Talented Mr. Ripley. Its only nomination was for Jude Law's performance as supporting actor. However, it should have gotten nominated for Best Picture, and it did not. As well as, honestly, it got nominated for costume design and art direction as well. But it should have gotten cinematography. Should have gotten Matt Damon for an Oscar nomination and Gwyneth Paltrow for a supporting actress nomination. The Talented Mr. Ripley went home pretty much empty-handed, and I think it's just an absolute travesty.
Sure is. I pay that man $100 to stop playing the saxophone right now. Moving on. The next film actually changed the category back in 2008 because it was not nominated, but it was clearly the best movie of the year. But it didn't get nominated, people believe, just because it was a comic book movie. But it was The Dark Knight, one of the best movies of the century, arguably still the best comic book movie ever made, changed the category where now they started letting in 10 nominations to the awards. And because of it, we had a comic book movie also get nominated for Best Picture after
Black
this.
Panther.
Black Panther was the first comic book movie officially nominated for Best Picture, and The Dark Knight paved the way.
You've changed things.
Forever. No, I'm not.
And this is the year Slumdog Millionaire won, and Danny Boyle won for Best
movie.
Director. Yeah,
Great movie.
Great movies, but I mean, fucking
Dark Knight,
man.
The fucking Dark Knight. There's 100 million posters of The Dark Knight on dorm room walls right now in bedrooms for a reason.
There's a lot of dorm rooms.
It's a lot of dorm rooms. Every dorm room, it's mandatory to have a Dark Knight poster. Dark Knight, Fight Club, and Nirvana. Whether you're a girl or a guy, that's what you get when you walk in.
Fight Club. That's so true. All right, next up we have a comedy. The first comedy on this list, and it is on this list because it really is that good. I'm talking about 1975's Young Frankenstein, the comedic spoof of Frankenstein. It is absolutely hilarious, but it's also so well written, so well directed. This is the pinnacle of spoof movies, in my opinion. Young Frankenstein is the top of the top, and it's a really well crafted film. And Mel Brooks just knocked it out of the park. It's a wonderful movie. It should have gotten nominated, and unfortunately, because it was a comedy, I think it was overlooked.
All right, moving on to another Alfred Hitchcock film that didn't get nominated for Best Picture. It's interesting how some of the best filmmakers ever, their movies don't get nominations. Or maybe they have just one outlier, that's it. Mm-hmm. Or as Anthony likes to say, outlier. One outlier.
Outlier.
Vertigo. Starring
Fucking Vertigo, man.
Jimmy Stewart. Did not get nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, despite being excellent and despite a remake being in development right now with Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Last I heard.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about that last year?
Oh, yeah, I remember. But yeah, it's an amazing feat and achievement in directing and filmmaking. And
some of the best shots ever in this movie.
It's one of the best scores ever from Bernard Herrmann. And Vertigo, the coloring of it, the greens, the reds, the photography is just on another level. It's just wonderful. Plus, I mean, really capturing the dolly zoom and helping popularize that filmmaking technique. Like, this is the big film for that. Next up, we have another Tarantino film. This is a film that was nominated, Inglourious Bastards. However, It did not win the Oscar in 2009.
Did not.
And neither did he win for Best Original Screenplay. The Hurt Locker ended up taking both of those trophies away from Tarantino's grip. Hurt Locker is an awesome movie. I love it. But Inglourious Basterds, I think, is just an incredible, incredible film that could be argued as Tarantino's best made movie overall. It's just an amazing achievement in cinema.
You know, I'm starting to lean Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah. Yeah, but do you think that if one of them is going to win Best Picture, what would it be?
It's tough. It's tough. Hollywood loves movies that light Nazis on fire.
Think about that opening scene, bro.
I
The
know.
bar scene. The bar scene.
I know the bar scene's great. Another Christopher Nolan film on here. You know, I kind of understand why this didn't get nominated to an extent, but it definitely is a snub because Memento, when it came out in 2000, blew the chains off the door, as Anthony said last week on the show. One of the best screenplays and most original screenplays in years, and it's still considered a top 5 movie, I think, in his filmography. And I even, there's references to it still. Like, there's a reference to Memento in The Fall Guy, which is really funny.
Oh, what did they say?
When they're talking about writers' Post-it notes, he's like, he's still doing the Post-it note thing, and the producer's like, oh, believe me, it's ridiculous. It's Memento level now. Like, it's still a relevant movie. Still, people are still talking about it. It's still in movies. It's in the zeitgeist. I think film people love this movie, and they understand how good it is. And it's a movie that a lot of people, they need someone to show them it. It's one of those movies that you don't really discover on your own unless you're really searching throughout his filmography. But it's a movie that I think friends recommend to each other, and then they just blow their mind.
It's also a movie that you can't start halfway through. Like, you remember movies used to be on TV, and you just turn on a channel and like you maybe haven't seen the movie, but it's like a third of the way through, but you'll
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, with Memento, you could not do that. You'd be so fucked. You'd be like, "What the hell is going on?
Is that Joe Pantoliano?
What is this movie? What is going on?"
Sopranos isn't on tonight.
I always forget he was in Sopranos.
Fuck yeah, dude.
All right, next
Cousin.
up. Next up, we have the first international film on this list, and we have Park Chan-wook's The Handmaiden, a pretty recent film of 2016. I'm shocked it didn't get any love at the Oscars and not an Oscar nomination for Best Picture because it is probably the best film of that year, and if it's or up there. And in my opinion, it's one of my favorite movies of like the last 15 years. Like The Handmaiden is unbelievable.
Didn't even get nominated for Best International.
Not that I know of.
Wow.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Yeah, The Handmaiden should have been a Best Picture nomination, easy.
It's a pretty dark movie though.
Pretty fucking twisted too.
It's pretty dark and twisted.
It's awesome though.
Before Sunrise in 1995 was not nominated for Best Picture. Arguably one of the best romance films of the last 30 years.
Easily one of the most loved 90s films of right now.
Yeah, I would say so.
Absolutely.
It's had quite the resurgence.
Yeah. It's so nice to see a movie like that and get so much love all over on social media, on all of the apps. Like, everybody loves Before Sunrise. It might be one of the most liked movies of all time, if you think about it.
I guess so.
Yeah. It's got to be.
Everyone likes it.
Everyone likes it.
Also 1995.
Oh, man. In 1995, Seven came out. It didn't get nominated for Best Picture. James and I think that it's one of David Fincher's best still to this day. It's incredible. It's some of the best directing of the 90s. And really it changed cinema in terms of like everybody tried to make a Seven. And so many crime stories, so many serial killer movies came out because Seven was so good. And a movie like that Fincher's a commonly copied director and filmmaker. Whether it be Seven, and then with Fight Club, and then with Social Network, the cinematography, the approach, he might be the most copied contemporary filmmaker in terms of like others duplicating his style and trying to do what he does.
I would say it's because he makes it look easy, even though it's insanely complicated and complex what he does, but he makes it look, oh, I could do that. I can make a movie like that, but then you try to make a movie like that. I guess I'm not David Fincher, because there's only one. Moving on to another Ridley Scott masterpiece that was not nominated for an Academy Award, Alien! In 1979, not nominated for Best Picture.
How does that make you feel?
Like I want to throw this piece of plastic off the wall.
Don't hit my Taxi Driver poster. That was pretty close.
I didn't.
That was dangerously close to my favorite poster.
It's got scratches all over it, man.
Yeah, but no dents. It's just got a plastic. It's got a plastic face.
Don't worry, he's good.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Don't throw stuff at it anymore.
I didn't. I threw it at the brick wall next to it.
Okay.
That was perfect aim. Like, I chose not to hit the poster. I could have hit the poster if I wanted to.
You wanted to hit that brick particularly?
Right there.
You specifically said that
I hit
brick.
the exact spot I aimed for.
Wow.
It was pretty incredible.
Wow. I'd love to see you do that again.
Give me the plastic.
Pick
then.
the spot.
Give me it. Let's see. Come here. Yep. There you go. There you go. Toss it. Which brick should I hit?
Hit the brick, the second brick above the outlet.
You got it.
You hit my poster.
Whoops.
Motherfucker.
Oops.
He threw it right in my poster.
See, I meant to do that.
Obviously now I can see that. You fucking cunt. I'm taking this poster out of here. Put it in my room. All right, next up, 1978. Terrence Malick came out with one of the most beautiful films of all time, Days of Heaven, starring Richard Gere and Sam Shepard. This film, even though it's still considered one of the best made movies ever and one of the most influential films in terms of filmmaking and cinematography, was not nominated for Best Picture. What a shame.
Shame. Back to David Fincher. His beloved film Zodiac was not nominated for Best Picture either.
Fuck that.
Kind of understand that. But
It's
it really
so good.
It's an excellent movie.
It's so good.
But, yeah, I don't know. I would not completely consider that a snub because it doesn't seem like a Best Picture movie, even though it's
No,
one of the
yeah,
best
I
movies of
understand
the
why
year.
it didn't. I understand
You know what I
why
mean?
it didn't get nominated, but it's still it's of that year. It's up there for
Yeah,
top 5.
true.
All right, next up we have, honestly, in my opinion, probably the greatest musical of all time. I haven't seen a ton of musicals, but I've seen like a bunch of musicals. Singing in the Rain, one of the most iconic of all time, wasn't even nominated for Best Picture. I watched this thing a month ago. It was fucking amazing. It's like one of the best movies I've ever seen. 1953, not nominated for Best Picture. Unbelievable. I'm mad about it. I'm not singing about it.
Going back to South Korea here, we have Decision to Leave in 2023. Was not nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
And the winner of that year was Everything Everywhere All at Once. Excellent movie. However, personally,
Yes.
I think Park Chan-wook's Decision to Leave is superior.
Yeah, we had, in our Oscars episode, we had Park Chan-wook as Best Director, Decision to Leave as Best Film, and as Best Cinematography and Editing.
Yeah, I think all
It
all
won
four of
four.
those.
It won 4 accolades at the Raiders of the Lost Oscars.
The prestigious,
Some say the most prestigious film festival.
the Golden Idol was given Golden Idols were given to that film.
Yes. Decision to Leave is one of the best films of the 2020s. Might be the best film of the 2020s, behind Oppenheimer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we have another film, pretty recent, 13 Lives.
This movie's so good.
Ron Howard's film, which came out in 2022. It was one of my personal favorites that year. Not nominated for Best Picture. This is on Amazon Prime. It didn't have much of a marketing campaign. They just dropped it on the app. It didn't have a theatrical release, and so nobody even knows what it is. If I made a TikTok clip about 13 Lives, it would get 20 views,
Unfortunately,
and people would be like, "What the fuck is this
the
movie?"
cast is excellent too.
Colin Farrell, Viggo Mortensen, and a bunch of other guys. Incredible movie. One of the most suspenseful, thrilling films I'd ever seen. And Ron Howard showed that he still got the stuff. He still got the goods. And I was absolutely blown away. I was on the edge of my seat in this film. I didn't know what to expect. And it's just a fascinating story and a stranger than fiction kind of tale. And it's an unbelievable film. 13 Lives.
Yeah, I mean that was one of those movies that just disappeared, and it didn't even come out that long ago. But
Yeah.
man, that movie it blew my fucking mind. My heart was pounding.
Yeah. I watched it, and then the next morning when I saw you, I was like, you have to watch 13 Lives right now.
It's that good.
It's insane.
Next up, we have a Paul Newman film, Cool Hand Luke, in 1967 was not nominated for an Academy Award, but it's one of the most iconic characters in an excellent movie from a legendary actor.
I love that movie.
It's really cool. Really good film.
I'll
Good
never look
picture.
at eating eggs again the same
Good
way.
picture. Eats a lot of eggs in that movie.
Good picture. All right, speaking of good pictures, we got Spike Lee joint with Do the Right Thing. Still his best film and just an absolute masterpiece, which came out in 1989, was not even nominated for Best Picture. Not even nominated. And Driving Miss Daisy won the Best Picture that year. And it's still shocking to think that Do the Right Thing didn't get the Oscar love.
Yeah.
It's really unbelievable. It's crazy to think Spike Lee won his first Oscar for BlacKkKlansman for screenplay. Like,
It's
really
pretty wild. It's like when Nolan won his first Oscar for directing for Oppenheimer. It took that long.
Second nomination for directing.
Pretty insane. Next up, we have another Alfonso Cuarón film. We have Roma, which lost to Green Book
Green Book.
in 2019. Green Book won.
It's a nice
Best
movie,
Picture.
but
It's
like,
nice. It's funny. It's great. Good messages.
It's cute.
Based on a true story. But Roma, holy fuck.
Roma, man.
That
Unbelievable.
movie changes you after you watch it.
That movie's an experience, man.
You're different.
Roma's an
You're a
experience.
different person after Roma.
Yeah, man. I fucking love Roma, man. We did an episode on it, and I really like doing that one.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. We have another Rome movie, Roman Holiday, which came out in 1950, lost to From Here to Eternity, which is a good film. But Roman Holiday is like the best romance film ever. Audrey Hepburn just steals the screen in her debut. It's so well directed, perfectly made. The actors are great. It's a really sweet story. It's great comedy. Ultimately, that's, I think, why it lost, because it is a very funny movie. And, man, Roman Holiday is just, it's such a good film. It's so good.
We have an animated film next. We have Princess Mononoke, which came out in 1997, not nominated for Best Picture, which, animated films seldom got love at the Academy Awards for Best Picture nominations or nominations in general until, they got their own category.
Thanks to Shrek.
Thanks to Shrek. Well, Shrek was the
Yeah,
first.
no, I'm just kidding. Yeah, it was the first, but it didn't cause
People
it.
weren't like, how did Shrek not win Best Picture? We demand a new category.
But it makes you it makes you wonder. Like, it took till 2000 to get that category for animated film.
3, I believe. Yeah.
That's wild to wait that long for that.
It's probably because Pixar was making such great movies every year.
Yeah. But yeah, Princess Mononoke is an unbelievable film, and it should have been nominated for Best Picture. Absolutely. Another film. We have a couple international films to follow up after Princess Mononoke. High and Low from Akira Kurosawa over in Japan, which came out in 1963, is honestly one of the greatest films ever made. It's in the list of like top 20 easily. Not nominated. Then Fanny and Alexander out of Sweden in 1982 was not nominated. It's my personal pick for best film of all time. And then we have In the Mood for Love in 2000 out in China, was not nominated for Best Picture, and also should have absolutely deserved it. Now, this is something Bong Joon-ho said. He called the Oscars a very local festival and not an international festival. So what he means is, obviously, the Oscars traditionally, they're getting a little better. They're traditionally only really nominated American or English films. Still by far American films. They're branching out more, but these are films that, they're some of the greatest of all time. But the Oscars just weren't looking at international films as nominee possibilities.
Yeah, we move into our intermission.
And then we're going to get into our list of the biggest acting snubs of all time.
And directors. Now, before we continue, the very best way to support Raiders of the Lost podcast is to leave those 5-star ratings and reviews at Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Also, another great way to support the show is to become a patron at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. Why would you want to do this? Because you get access to the ad-free version of every single episode, plus access to weekly bonus episodes of the show that only patrons can listen to. You can also get access to our Discord. You get free merchandise. Watch parties happen with Discord and Patreon members only. Sign up today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. And the final great way to support our show is to share us. Word of mouth is the best way for a podcast to grow. So share us with your family and friends.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our friends, excuse me, at movieposters.com.
Movieposters.com, baby.
The number one place to get your posters online today. Be sure to use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com and get 10% off your order immediately. They have a huge selection, pretty much every film and TV show imaginable in their poster library, as well as all sorts of sizes, framing, and even backlining for your poster needs. So if you want your room or your home to look like a fucking movie theater with lit up posters, go to movieposters.com. They have all the movies on these lists that we made. They got them all. Classic films, Marvel films, funny films, sad films, whatever you want. Movieposters.com has it. Again, use our promo code Raiders10 at movieposters.com. to get 10% off your order.
Can you talk today? 10% off your order.
10% off your order.
Let's get into our intermission, everybody, and begin with the movie quote competition. Are you ready?
Right.
All right, Anthony. This is between two characters. Here we go. I remember it like it was yesterday. Christmas, 1989. Dad had just gotten fired from the Zippo factory. Mom was still pulling tricks in to make ends meet. Daniel Day-Lewis won an Oscar for My Left Foot. And all I wanted was one of those Betsy Wetsy dolls. I remember those. Push her belly, and she'd piss all over herself. She said she was going out to get my dad a bottle of gin, but I knew she was going to get me the presents. It was raining really hard that night. The roads were slippery. Janie. A car accident? No. Cancer.
That's not another teen movie.
Yeah. You have her eyes.
Daniel Day-Lewis won the Oscar for My Left Foot. Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh my god, that's such a good movie. I love that one. Back-to-back episodes, not another teen movie references.
Fuck yeah.
All right, here's mine. Maybe I'm not such a high-class piece of property right now, and a 25% slice of something is big is a 25% slice of something big is better than a 100% slice of nothing.
Sounds like a heist movie. Sounds not like a heist movie. Sounds like a pie movie. The Baker's Dozen.
That's correct, yeah. It's The Hustler.
The Hustler, fuck.
The Baker's Dozen.
It's a good movie title. TLC romance film.
Probably is. I wouldn't doubt that.
All right. Guess this movie release year, Anthony. Sunshine.
2006.
2007.
Damn. What year did Cool Hand Luke come out?
19.
You did just. It's on the list, so don't look at it.
60. Well, I'm not looking at the list. I'm not like you. I don't cheat. I'm looking at my intermission right now. See? Not moving the thing. 1960.
You did just say it 5 minutes ago.
4.
67.
Bitch.
That was an overreaction.
A bit.
That was an overreaction.
A little bit. All right, Anthony. Movie pop quiz time. In 2007, there was an animated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film called TMNT. Who in the film, what character, did Chris Evans voice?
It was in 2007?
2007.
Animated?
Animated.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
I'm saying Chris Evans played Leo.
Casey Jones.
Oh,
was the correct answer.
I never even heard of that. 2007? TMNT.
It exists.
Oh.
It's real.
Oh, wow.
Really happened.
This animation is awful.
That's pretty fucked up to say.
Oh, I remember this. Yeah, I remember this.
I'm sure it was really, really great animation.
It was not. Have you looked at it?
I don't have to. I just know in my heart.
All right. In the film The Hustler, who is Fast Eddie's rival?
Minnesota Fats.
Well done. Ding, 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 ding. Got it.
Nice.
Nice job.
Great.
Oh, we got some haters. Let's check out these unsubscribes.
Let me pull up a 5-star Apple review.
Yeah, pull it up,
one.
man.
If we
Pull
got
it
any new one.
up.
I'll check if we have any new ones.
Sean Spencer and Burton Guster wrote in our Ben and Matt episode. In True Grit, Matt's name is LaBeouf, not LeBeau. Unsubscribe.
That's Anthony.
Oh, yeah, I fucked that up. Steven Yaznik on our... I posted a photo that someone made of Chad.
The Chad.
Giga Chad.
Internet Giga Chad.
Giga Chad, and it said, I listened to the Raiders Lost podcast. How could you tell? And Steven wrote, because you say unsubscribe all the time. Babe, are you okay? You hardly said unsubscribe today. And then we got... I love how you guys from Boston... this is Paige in our Ben and Matt episode. I love how you guys say Boston...
Say the word, Anthony. Fuck.
Shit, hold on.
Today, Junior.
I love how you guys from Boston say Matt. Instead of Matt, it's Matt.
Matt.
I'm Team Matt for this one. He's definitely the best actor.
Matt.
Good Will Hunting was
Matt.
definitely Matt's best film over Ben's. I'd watch a film purely for Matt being in it, but wouldn't for Ben. Oh, and the lack of discussion on Ford versus Ferrari. Unsubscribed. We did just mention it for a moment, so we didn't dissect it. So
sorry,
but you got us, Paige. We do say Matt.
I never noticed that.
Matt.
We say Matt.
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 Matt
Damon.
It's so true. That's it for our unsubscribes.
We have a great new 5-star review.
No way.
From ZJ Trojans. The title of the review is Shrek. 5 stars.
I almost spit on my water.
Not giving Shrek a 5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. Subscribe. Shoot, I accidentally clicked the subscribe button. Unsubscribe. End of the review. That's great.
That's a good one.
It's really funny.
Love it.
Wow, we're almost at 2,000 ratings on Apple.
We're getting there, man. We're getting there. It's almost time for your tattoo, man.
Almost time. All right, Anthony. What is your streaming recommendation for this episode?
Anatomy of a Fall is available on Hulu.
Ooh.
If you have Hulu, check it out. One of the best films last year.
My streaming recommendation is Glenn Ross, which is on Netflix right now.
Oh, nice.
They just put it on.
That's a good one, man.
It's a great film.
It's a great film.
Awesome cast.
Fucking great cast.
All right, let's get back into our snubs and let's get cruising because we got 2 sections to do, Tony. And we took a little bit of our time on those previous ones. We have actors and directors to do. Let's get going.
All right, our first pick for actors is someone who was nominated, but they did not win. And we put it on this list because it is one of the best performances in history, and that's Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 2. Now, he was also nominated for lead actor, but the great Marlon Brando won for Godfather as lead actor, deservedly so. You would think that Pacino won for Godfather 2. No, he lost to Art Carney in the film Harry and Tonto, which I'd never heard of.
If Anthony's never heard of it. I mean, of course, we all know about my Green Valley on the other side, whatever that shit was called.
The grass
is greener on the valley.
How green was my valley?
How green was my valley?
Which
the classic. How green was my valley? Moving on next. Recently, in Everything Everywhere All at Once, Stephanie Hsu was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. However, she lost to Jamie Lee Curtis, which was pretty odd because Stephanie Hsu was terrific in that movie.
She stole that movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis is still the biggest head scratcher the last few years.
I have no idea why she won Best Supporting Actress.
I think it might have just been, hey, it's your time. You've been in Hollywood for so long. But man, everyone's like, wait, what?
I was surprised she got nominated for that.
Me too.
Let alone won.
I love Jamie Lee Curtis. She's great, but Stephanie Hsu's terrific in that movie.
She's incredible in that movie.
Isn't it? Goodness.
All right, let's move on to Parasite, one of the best films ever made. Song Kang-ho, as lead actor, was not nominated. Now, the cast of Parasite won the SAG Award for Best Cast. That's how good everyone's performances are, and no one got an Oscar nomination for acting. And Song Kang-ho should have possibly won Best Actor. He's so good in that movie.
He really is terrific.
He's unbelievable.
Idris Elba is also terrific in Beasts of No Nation.
Yeah.
Not nominated for that film. Shocking.
Yeah, Kari Joji Fukunaga crushed it, and Idris was unbelievable. There's another. Now, this movie is so good. If you haven't seen The Hunt, the Danish film from Thomas Vinterberg, check it out. Mads Mikkelsen delivers a career best performance in The Hunt.
Still his best.
And it is unbelievable. It's one of the best tragedies I've ever seen in my life. It's just a gut punch right into your chest. A gut punch to the chest.
It's a leg punch right to the throat.
Double punch, gut and chest.
It's an ass slap right on your arm. It's a headshot right in your toe.
Oh my god. Fucking A. Sorry. Mads Mikkelsen, The Hunt. No Oscar love. Unbelievable. It's one of the best performances from that year. Check the film out if you haven't.
Samuel L. Jackson has turned out incredible performances. However, he was not nominated for supporting actor in neither Pulp Fiction.
Sorry. He was nominated in Pulp Fiction.
He was nominated
I
in
didn't
Pulp Fiction,
specify that in the list for James.
but he
Sorry.
was not nominated for Django Unchained.
Correct.
The guy doesn't have an Oscar yet.
No Oscars. He only has one nomination. It's for Pulp Fiction.
Fucking crazy.
One nomination in his career.
Insane.
His other snub is Hateful Eight.
Oh, he's so good in The Hateful Eight.
As
Fuck,
lead
he's
actor.
good. Fuck, he's good in that movie.
So these are supporting roles and then lead actor for Hateful Eight, not nominated.
Damn shame.
But I mean, Pulp Fiction. How did he not win Best Supporting Actor, man?
Dude.
It's what's one of the most memorable characters in film history
Ever.
ever.
Moving on.
All right, next up, Jim Carrey has never been nominated for an Oscar, and we think this is detestable. It's appalling.
Makes me sick.
Especially when he came out with performances like The Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Two miraculous performances in incredible films, which he helped carry, and I'm not sure, but the Academy just doesn't like Jim Carrey. He's also great in Man on the Moon, too.
True. Leonardo DiCaprio, you would think he would have won an Oscar by the time The Revenant came out, which it took him that long in his career to finally win an Oscar. But he wasn't even nominated for Shutter Island, Django Unchained, or Catch Me If You Can.
0 nominations for those.
What?
He was nominated for a few other films, Blood Diamond, The Aviator, What's Eating Gilbert Grape. So he's been nominated, I think, 4 or 5 times. Wolf of Wall Street. But like I mean, I guess they don't want to keep nominating him every time he makes a movie, but he's that good. Like, oh my God, Shutter Island, Django, Catch Me If You Can. Are you kidding me? They're unbelievable performances. Next up, we have an actor who won an Academy Award, and he was nominated this year. He was nominated for The Deer Hunter. I'm talking about Robert De Niro in his lead performance in The Deer Hunter, which is an all-timer. He lost to Jon Voight in Coming Home, which is a good movie and a good performance, but Robert De Niro it's one of his best performances, and it's an all-timer for sure in The Deer Hunter. It's unbelievable.
Speaking of all-timers, you know, horror has given us some incredible supporting actress performances. Shelley Duvall, specifically from The Shining, is an all-timer. But this century, Toni Collette in Hereditary, one of the best horror performances ever, not nominated. It's a damn shame because she's so good in that movie.
God damn
She
it.
carries that movie on her back.
She does carry it, yeah. Just that dinner monologue, man.
Fucking A.
I am your mother. Fucking A, man.
It's pretty good.
All right, next up, we have Amy Adams.
Felt like I was in trouble, too.
Amy Adams has been nominated for 5 films, but has never won. That's crazy. You would think Amy Adams would have an Oscar. Something that I think that she really stood out in and really helped carry this film, that's Arrival, Denis Villeneuve's film. Not getting the win for that, I think, was an incorrect call by the Academy. She's absolutely phenomenal in Arrival, and really that movie hinges on her performance.
The legendary Willem Dafoe turned out a remarkable performance in The Lighthouse. If you watch this movie, or if you've seen it, you know what I mean. This man monologues several times as a guy sounding like a person who hasn't existed in 150 years. This pirate fucking sailor. Incredible performance. Mad out of his mind. Didn't get nominated.
This is one of my favorite performances, and it's the best he's done, I think. And like you said, he's so convincing you think this person was real, and it's unbelievable. Next up, we have a Margot Robbie snub. She was nominated for I, Tonya, but lost to Frances McDormand for 3 Billboards. Frances is great in 3 Billboards. However, I argue that Margot Robbie's performance in I, Tonya is still her career best and was the best that year by far. And I was absolutely floored by her in I, Tonya. It's an incredible piece of work. Her commitment to it, she really disappeared into that role. And I just think that it was very much deserving of an Oscar accolade in that year.
The next one I would say, Christian Bale in American Psycho not getting nominated. I understand why he didn't get nominated in that one. It's a dark, dark role.
Yeah.
And it's almost so dark it's comedic because it is. I understand why he didn't get nominated, but we can talk about that for a sec. It's on the list.
I think he should have got nominated.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best performances of that decade. It's really fascinating performance, and he's so convincing.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
He's great.
He is that movie, and it's unbelievable. I mean, I love it. I love that performance. All right, next up, Charlie Chaplin, an icon of the silent film era, not only acted in but directed many of the most incredible films of the time, like City Lights, Modern Times, Great Dictator. He was never a winner for an Oscar for a performance or for directing, ever. And he was him and Buster Keaton, they were like acting and comedic acting in general in silent film. They would never won an accolade, nothing for him. He won achievement awards, basically, not for a performance or for direction.
Peter O'Toole also never won an Oscar for Lawrence of Arabia, an all-time film and an all-time performance.
He had 8 Oscar nominations and 0 wins. The most nominated actor ever to never win an Oscar.
That sucks.
And he kept losing to like other all-time performances. Like, so he lost to Kill a Mockingbird, which is like one of the best performances ever. So I mean, you can't be too mad about that. But he's unbelievable as Lawrence. Next up is an actor that I think is just so underappreciated and underrated because of his lack of love from academies, and that's Steve Buscemi, in particular in Fargo, where I think he's just as good as Frances McDormand, who won the Oscar for lead actress. Buscemi is amazing in that movie. He's hilarious. He's like the pulse of that movie. You know what I mean? He brings so much energy, and he has by far the most dialogue in that film, and he is incredible in Fargo.
Then we have Jonah Hill in Wolf of Wall Street, was nominated but lost to Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club. I feel like Dallas Buyers Club was just a better, Academy choice, Oscar bait performance, I guess, or a role. But Jonah Hill is just sensational in Wolf of Wall Street.
I mean, how do you steal the attention away from DiCaprio and Scorsese? And when Jonah Hill is on screen in that film, you just can't take your eyes off of him. And you're right, I think it was just the transformative part of Dallas Buyers Club role, losing the weight and all of that. I think it just gets more attention. But I think Jonah Hill is sensational in Wolf. Next up, we have Marilyn Monroe for Some Like It Hot. She lost to the lead actress in Room at the Top. Some Like It Hot is one of Billy Wilder's best films, and it's an all-time comedy. Marilyn Monroe, this is a proof of her star power. Not only just very talented, but just the camera loved her, and she has had an incredible amount of charisma and charm. It's just a delightful performance. It's funny. It's tragic. She has a lot of range in this film, and it really is the best thing she did. She deserved the Oscar for Some Like It Hot.
Matt Damon was not nominated for The Talented Mr. Ripley, despite an incredible performance.
I love that performance. Next up, I'll Be Your Huckleberry. Val Kilmer in Tombstone was not nominated.
All that sweat for nothing.
All that sweat for nothing. He was dying the whole time in that movie. I'm sure how much energy he exerted, and man, he's unbelievable in that film. And yeah, he should have absolutely gotten something for it.
Bill Murray in Lost in Translation, not nominated. A very meditative but also meta performance of a comedian sort of poking fun at himself and his career in general.
I think it's because it was so understated, the performance. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He's also he's unbelievable in Groundhog Day. He could have gotten nominated for that. All right, next up, we have Whoopi Goldberg in The Color Purple was nominated, but she did not win the Oscar for lead actress. The Color Purple was nominated for 11 Oscars and went home completely empty-handed. Not a single win. Danny Glover was also snubbed in that as best lead actor as well.
Next up, we have Edward Norton in Primal Fear, nominated, but lost to Cuba Gooding Jr. in Jerry Maguire, which, I don't hate that, but he is incredible in Primal Fear, and I believe it was his first acting role in a movie, and he's just sensational, and I don't want to spoil that film, but if you've never seen Primal Fear, starring with Richard Gere, it's an incredible courtroom mystery. It's so good.
The thing with Cuba Gooding is, I think it's a great performance, and he's a scene stealer, but like as his career went on, you saw that like that was very much like so much of him in that role. You know what I mean? Whereas Edward Norton, it just disappeared and was a different human being. You know what I mean? Next up, Sacha Baron Cohen in Borat. This is an incredible performance. The commitment he has to put himself into real-life situations and still maintain character and to convince all of these strangers that he is who he says he is, not breaking. He puts himself in sometimes dangerous situations. I think the absolute commitment to the character and never breaking, and it's just he's just transformed into Borat, and he's so good that whenever he walked up to people, they thought he was really this guy. So I think Borat flies so under the radar in terms of performance.
Then we have Glenn Close. Was nominated, but lost to Cher. Because Cher is in Moonstruck. Which is pretty good movie.
Moonstruck's good.
Pretty good movie.
But Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction is amazing. She's like absolute dynamite in that film, and she's so unhinged and all over the place, and the range on her is incredible. She's great performance in Fatal Attraction. All right, next up we have Tom Cruise. Tom finally made it into the episode. Tom Cruise in Magnolia.
He's damn good.
He's incredible in that film. He was nominated in supporting actor role, but he lost to Michael Caine in Cider House of Rules. Very good. Excellent. One of the best actors ever. But man, I think Tom Cruise in Magnolia, in a film with so many great performances, like you just can't take your eyes off of Tom in that film, and he is so goddamn good in that movie.
Speaking of goddamn good in a movie, we have Rosamund Pike in Gone Girl, who was born to play Amy Dunn, was nominated but lost to Julianne Moore, who is in Still Alice. And I got to give that to Rosamund Pike. She's terrific in that film. But again, it's a Fincher movie. Fincher movies don't get Academy with love usually.
Yeah, you're right. They don't really get, Oscar wins.
Not really.
Not that I can think of. Julianne Moore's great in Still Alice. She plays a woman who's coming down with early onset Alzheimer's. It's a really great film, but it's not on the same caliber as Gone Girl. And Rosamund is just, like you said, nobody could have done that role like she did. She's incredible. Next up, we got 2 Adam Sandler performances. Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. Uncut Gems. I really love Uncut Gems, but I think Punch Drunk Love is superior in terms of his performance and just in a film. I just watched Punch Drunk Love a few weeks ago, and I was, again, just blown away by his work in that. Adam Sandler, really, he put a lot into that role, and he just became another person, and the performance is so specific, the physicality, the vocalizations, the cadence. I really love the performance, and he should have gotten some love.
The next one, I always thought Mickey Rourke won for The Wrestler. However, he lost to Sean Penn, who was in Milk that year. But Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler, I think, is a more memorable performance and really powerful and tragic, and that one killed me.
And Sean Penn agreed. I mean, when he went up to get his Oscar, he said, I shouldn't even be standing here. And he said Mickey Rourke is the one who should be up here. So even he thought so, too. I think it's just because the Academy might not have liked Mickey back then. All right, next up, we got Lupita Nyong'o. Even though she won a few years earlier, her performance in Us, the Jordan Peele film, is remarkable. Her physical performance, as she plays both characters really specifically. She's great as like an every woman, a mom, and then she's this villainous, supposedly psychotic, strange, and unhinged villain. And the way she contorts her body and moves, and the way she just controls her face, oh my God, it's one of the best like horror performances recently, and I really loved her in that. I was shocked she didn't get nominated.
The next one, I don't consider this to be a snub. Austin Butler losing to Brendan Fraser. Austin for the Elvis, then Brendan Fraser for the Whale, because Brendan Fraser's incredible in that movie.
I think Brendan Fraser's incredible in that movie too. I do, however, think that Austin Butler had the superior performance as Elvis.
Yeah, I guess. In a lot of different ways. I have to give them both a rewatch.
Yeah, give them both a rewatch sometime, man.
Then we have Michael Clark Duncan. Was not nominated for The Green Mile. Isn't that crazy?
I can't believe that. He is sensational in that movie.
I always thought he was.
Yeah, the range of him on that, he's crying, he's going through so much, and oh my God, it's a great Frank Darabont film, and I think Tom Hanks got nominated, but not Duncan. And then our final actor snub on this list is none other than Sean Astin for The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Samwise Gamgee, the most vital character in The Lord of the Rings, with a phenomenal performance from Sean Astin, who goes through hell and back. I still can't believe he didn't get nominated. He brings it. He really does. And every time I see it, he always just like catches my attention, and the emotions and the turmoil and the physical distress. Like, he's unbelievable as Samwise in that film.
Those Lord of the Rings movies never got acting wins.
Not one. Not one nomination.
You know, I understand why they didn't win, because they can't give every award to Lord of the Rings.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can't give 15 awards to the movie. But, I mean, if they deserved it, they deserved it.
Not even to get nominations at all, though.
Yeah.
I think it's maybe because they were big ensembles and no one stood out to the Academy in particular.
I guess. Well, let's get into directors because we still got quite a bit to do. Let's bang
go.
these out. So we have first up Martin Scorsese for Taxi Driver, not nominated for his masterpiece from 1976.
Unbelievable. Next up, we have the Wachowskis for The Matrix, not getting nominated. Like we said, the film only got technical category awards, and the Wachowskis directed up a storm and really brought something that had never been done before to the art of filmmaking.
You're going to hear a lot of the similar movies from Best Picture because Alfonso Cuarón was not nominated for Best Director for Children of Men, which is just a tragedy.
That's honestly one of the biggest...
Travesty.
Yeah, travesty.
Travesty.
Tragedy is not a word.
I invented it.
This is honestly one of the biggest shocks on the whole list because that film is miraculous. All right, next up, we got two from our boy who just won all the Oscars, Chris Nolan. Did not get nominated for The Dark Knight, and he did not get nominated for Inception, and he did not get nominated for Interstellar
Or Memento.
or The Prestige.
Or Batman Begins.
What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Unbelievable. Like he could have had 4 more Oscar nominations before Dunkirk.
It's true. Also, Terrence Malick, one of the best movies ever made with Tree of Life, was nominated, but lost to The Artist. The Artist, it was an odd year. I think it took too many awards than it really deserved.
Yeah.
Great movie, but I think it was just sort of
It
new.
won a lot.
It was new, but
Yeah.
also at the same time, like, how did that... It won, I think it won a sound category.
It won like 7 awards.
It won a lot of
It won
awards.
Best Director. It won Best Picture, Best Lead Actor, Best Director, Cinematography. I think I think Life of Pi won cinematography that year, or maybe
It
it was
won 5 Oscars.
5 Oscars. What were they?
Best Picture, Best Performance for Actor, Directing, Costume Design, and Achievement in Music, Original Score.
Mm-hmm.
It was nominated also for Art Direction, Film Editing, Cinematography, Screenplay, and Actress in a Supporting Role.
It's really good. I really liked it, and it was cool that it was a silent film made now. But I think the fact that
BAFTA nominated them for Best Sound
Best Sound for the last 10 seconds
for one scene.
Is that a joke?
For real.
Okay, Baptist. I see you, Baptist. It was a good film, but I think because of what it was, it got all the nominations. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And like what it represented.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we have Lynn Ramsey, who's one of the most interesting filmmakers working today. Her directing in We Need to Talk About Kevin is absolutely fascinating. It's a really interesting film. She was not nominated, but I think it's an incredible piece of work in filmmaking. And she's got a new film coming out. She's working on something right now, and I can't wait to see. But she's definitely always on her radar when she comes out with something new.
So Rocky won Best Picture, also won Best Director for John G. Alvinson, and he beat out Steven Spielberg for Jaws, everybody. Jaws.
I feel the pain.
Breathe, man, breathe.
I'm just filled with pain.
He's a billionaire. He's okay. He's doing okay.
Okay, he's all right. He's all right. He's got 2 Oscar wins for directors. It's okay. All right, next up. Like we said, Heat was not nominated for Best Picture. Michael Mann was not nominated for Best Director, even though it's honestly, in my opinion, one of the best directed films ever to come out of America.
Shawshank Redemption, Frank Darabont was not nominated for arguably the best feature debut ever.
That's shocking to not get the nomination. I mean, you don't want not to win? Okay, whatever. Forrest Gump clears out everything. I understand. To not even get nominated, that's the joke. Next up, Park Chan-wook for The Handmaiden, which we talked about earlier, did not get a nomination for his absolute masterwork.
Steven Spielberg again, but did not get a nomination for Catch Me If You Can, which is maybe his most underrated film.
Catch Me If You Can. Guess how many nominations it got?
0?
2.
For what?
Best score, and then
Best
something.
editing?
Maybe editing. Something small. Oh no, Christopher Walken, Best Supporting Actor nomination.
Oh, that's great.
Now, we got another great female director, Andrea Arnold, in an incredible coming-of-age film, Fish Tank, was not nominated for Best Director coming out of England. This is a remarkable film. It's it's Fassbender's one of his breakout films. He did right before Inglourious Bastards, or right after Inglourious Bastards. Fish Tank is an incredible, incredible movie. If you've not seen it, check it out. And it's all testament to her absolute mastery of the craft in that film. The Fish Tank directing, it blew me away, and Andrea Arnold deserved a nomination.
Orson Welles, you would think for Citizen Kane. Of course, he got nominated. He did, but he lost to somebody. I don't know who. Anthony didn't write down.
The guy who, the grass guy.
The grass on the other side. The grass in the valley.
How green was my valley?
How green is my valley?
I think it was a great director made that too. All right, next up we got Paul Thomas Anderson, who's one of the greatest directors of our time, if not the. He was not nominated as director for Magnolia, for Boogie Nights, and for The Master. 0 directing nominations.
Denis Villeneuve was not nominated for Dune, surprisingly, nor was he nominated for Incendie, which was the international choice for Canada to go to the Oscars.
He should have also gotten a nomination for Prisoners too.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I mean, I get not Sicario. I understand them not nominating that, but Prisoners, yeah. Next up, Francis Ford Coppola was nominated for Best Picture, for Best Director for Apocalypse Now, but he did not win. I think it's one of the biggest snubs because of how much of a landmark of filmmaking that movie is and how it really changed the game. He was doing so many new things with that film. Plus, he made it in the jungle. I mean, just give it to him for that.
Martin Scorsese, shockingly was not nominated for Raging...
So he
was nominated for Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, and Goodfellas. Of course, he was nominated for those, but he lost all
He
of
went home
them.
empty-handed.
Empty-handed.
Each
Like he
time.
did for years and years and years.
Till The Departed.
Till The Departed. In 2006, Martin Scorsese finally won his first Academy Award for Best Director.
The Departed.
Took him almost 40 years. And people complain when someone makes a movie and they don't get nominated. It's like, dude, Scorsese
I know.
made-
Whenever people, like, it's like their second movie and they didn't get nominated. And I'm like, or like they didn't win an Oscar. And I'm just like, do you know how many times Nolan made, how many films Nolan made before he got nominated for Best Director?
It's crazy.
Dunkirk, guys. All right, next up we have an Italian film from Alice Rohrwacher, Happy as Lazzaro. An incredible film, a magical film. Came out in 2016. Check it out if you haven't seen it, but she absolutely should have been nominated for Best Director. She did a remarkable job with this movie. It is an incredible film.
David Cronenberg is on our list, and we have him not getting a nomination for The Fly, starring Jeff Goldblum.
Dude, like seriously, guys? Come on, guys. Also, Videodrome's great, too.
Yeah, it is.
All right, next up, Alfred Hitchcock.
You might as well bang all of his because we got several on here.
Oh, yeah, sorry. We got Alfred Hitchcock not nominated for Psycho, as well as...
Vertigo and Rear Window.
Yes, not nominated. Fuck that shit.
Fuck it.
Next up, M. Night Shyamalan did not get a director nomination for The Sixth Sense.
That's
which
crazy.
was nominated for Best Picture and Best Actor and Supporting Actor. No, Bruce Willis didn't get nominated. Toni Collette was nominated. A great film. Still his best film. It is really well directed. It's really precisely made, and I really like his directing in that film. It absolutely deserved that for sure.
Thomas Vinterberg for The Hunt. You got to watch this movie, everybody, if you haven't seen it. Starring Mads Mikkelsen. Was not nominated for Best Director.
It's a perfect film. Joe Wright for Atonement, which was an Oscar darling. It got a ton of nominations, but not for the director. And I'm shocked. I think it's so well made. Cinematography, the filmmaking, the camera work. There's a remarkable 5-minute take in there. And I was just blown away the first time I saw it. Overall, it's still Joe Wright's probably his best film, that or Pride and Prejudice. I might put Atonement overall in terms of best filmmaking.
It's pretty damn good. Let's get into Wong Kar-wai for In the Mood for Love, another must-watch. And he did not get any love from the Academy for this picture. Get it?
See what you did there. That's pretty good. Next up, we have Stanley Kubrick, who did not get nominated for some of the best films he made. He only has one Oscar win, and that is for visual effects for 2001: A Space Odyssey. But in terms of directing, I mean, you could have nominated him for every film he made, essentially, for the most part. So he did not get nominated for Paths of Glory, The Shining, and Eyes Wide Shut. Absolutely deserved those nominations.
Sure did. Federico Fellini. He didn't get an Oscar nomination for 8.5. Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Fuck that shit. Coppola was nominated for Godfather Part 2, but he lost to Bob Fosse for Cabaret. And Godfather Part 2 is some of the best directing ever, so beats me, man.
Also, Quentin Tarantino, we got a couple here on this list. He was nominated for Inglourious Bastards, but lost to Catherine Bigelow for The Hurt Locker. Also, Tarantino was not nominated for Kill Bill, Volume 1 or 2.
Unreal. I mean, that's so well directed. Park Chan-wook, like we said, was not nominated for Best Director for Decision to Leave. Also, another musical, Moulin Rouge, which is awesome and so well crafted. Baz Luhrmann, director, was not nominated for that awesome musical.
Let's get into, Moulin Rouge, Best Picture winner, right?
I believe it won.
Moulin Rouge, Best Picture winner. Baz Luhrmann directed it, not nominated. Also, I'm going to add one real quick.
Go ahead, man.
Ben Affleck, not nominated for Argo, even though that won Best Picture as well.
I would say he definitely deserved an Oscar nomination. Definitely. All right, next up we have Claire Denis for her remarkable film, Bout Travail, which is a really interesting movie. She should have gotten nominated for this. This came out in 1999 if you're interested in watching it.
David Lynch was nominated for Mulholland Drive, but did not win. I don't know who he lost to.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Hold on.
Who did he lose to?
Let me Google Mulholland Drive.
Who did David Lynch?
I mean, he should have got nominated for Eraserhead.
Probably.
She should have honestly won.
Find out, Anthony. Find this out.
Hold on. Sorry.
Hold on, man.
2001. My internet's it's slow. All right. Oscar.
2002 Best Director.
Yeah.
Ron Howard for A Beautiful Mind.
Nah, makes sense.
Makes sense.
It's like a movie.
Really good
I
movie.
really love A Beautiful Mind. I get why that won. Next up, Nicholas Winding Refn was not nominated for Drive, which was an awesome movie, and he won the Best Director award at Cannes.
Yeah, he did.
And it's a fucking banger. It's so well done.
It absolutely is. So isn't Winter's Bone, starring Jennifer Lawrence, directed by Deborah Granick, did not get a nomination. Great movie.
Like we said earlier, David Fincher did not get nominated for Fight Club, for Seven, nor for Gone Girl, and he did get nominated for Best Director for Social Network, but he lost to Tom Hooper for The King's Speech, which is a good movie, but it's a very Oscar bait movie. Social Network is a fucking landmark film in my opinion, and it just was amazing. Should have gotten the awards, but it did not.
Did not.
Michael
Haneke recently made Amour, about 8 years ago, and that lost to Life of Pi. So who made Life of Pi? Was that Ang Lee?
Yeah.
Won Best Director over Michael Haneke.
I love Life of Pi, but Amour is one of the greatest films of the century, in my opinion. Unbelievable movie. Next up, we have Bong Joon-ho, was not nominated or recognized for his work in Memories of Murder, one of the great crime films of all time.
Let's close this all out, man, with Sir Ridley Scott.
I saved it for the end for you, man.
Sir Ridley Scott. So, first of all, Ridley Scott was nominated for Best Director for Gladiator, but lost. He lost Best Director to Steven Soderbergh for Traffic. I like Steven Soderbergh a lot. I like Traffic a lot, but they're not fucking Gladiator.
Nope.
It's not Gladiator, and it's not Ridley Scott. What the fuck? How does that happen?
I don't know, man.
How's that happen?
I do not know.
Also, Ridley Scott was not nominated for Blade Runner or Alien, two of the best movies ever made in the history of cinema.
Yep.
Three of the best movies ever made in cinema. Shocking. Crazy stuff.
Save that for the end for you, man.
Thanks, man. Save that bacon for
want
me.
to get your blood boiling.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I'm ready to jump through a wall.
Really?
Anyways.
This is there's some interesting things on these lists and some surprises, and man, it's just funny how some of the greatest films in time ended up, when they first came out, got very little recognition, if any at all.
If the internet existed, man, people would have freaked out.
If Twitter existed,
people would have freaked out. Well, anyways, thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. And take care, everybody.
see you next time.
This episode was executive produced by our chosen one patrons, Cody Moen, Andrew Hagan, Becca Keene, Benjamin Cook, Calvin Murphy Griggs, Nicholas Martin, Darian Singleton, Tyler McFly, Andrew Hagan. Our chosen one patrons are our biggest supporters. Thank you so much. Raiders of the Lost Podcast is a mirror image production. Sound mixing done by Jacob Kossler. Opening music by Chase Jackson. Thank you for watching Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, notifications for sure. Listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere you can listen to podcasts, and be sure to check out this other content we have on our YouTube channel.